ancient times, as well as modern times, architecture has been used to express communications with man and nature. This has been done by building structures of importance and meaning in specific natural locations. We can all see this at its finest at the location of Nan Madol. Nan Madol was constructed from 700 to 1600 CE by the Sadler dynasty in Puhapi, Miskrasa, primarily out of basalt boulders that came from volcanic plugs. The Sadler dynasty were originally a foreign tribe from Puhapi and installed themselves as rulers of the island. Nan Madol is considered to be an engineering marvel since the Sadlers had so little technology at hand. They transported over 50 tons of basalt boulders from neighboring volcanic mountains to the reefs of the island where they lived. They had to transport these monolithic stones over 25 miles without the help of large animals and complex machinery. They carved the basalt stones in such a way that made the city appear that it is floating on the lagoon's surface. They were carefully placed on top of each other in a crisscross pattern which formed the walls of over 130 native buildings. This demonstrates the ecological and economic systems of Nan Madol, which was capable of supporting the massive amount of labor that was needed to construct this unique capital city. The Sadler dynasty is an early example of a centralized political system that promoted the high importance of agriculture and nature. The inhabitants of the city referred to it as being the Reef of Heaven due to the natural beauty of its location. Within the lagoon the city was created in, there were several small islands called islets. These islands had multiple different functions for each islet. Some were for making canoes or preparing for religious ceremonies. Others were even made to hold sacred eels that were said to have embodied sea deities. In order to acquire these eels, the Sadler dynasty carved small canals that these eels were able to fit through, where they were then captured in the lagoons of their city. The island is in a remote location that allowed the native people to build and expand their capital. This let them create some extremely elaborate buildings. The most complex was the Nadamamas, which was a royal monastery that Sadler rulers lived in. It was larger than the size of a football field and had walls up to 25 feet high. The indigenous people also built large breakwaters and seawalls to protect them from the waves of the ocean. Nan Madol is an excellent example of how man-made structures are able to bond with nature in order to show harmony of a civilization's past.
In your eyes, you went into me, my surprise. Say what you wanna say, I won't go back.
Another architectural complex that can be used as an example of to show the importance of nature is a building called Fallingwater. Fallingwater was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright from 1936 to 1939 with reinforced concrete, sandstone, steel, and glass. Wright drew up the plan for the building in about 2 hours, so many changes were needed during the construction of the building. The structure is located deep inside a forest in Pennsylvania to show the utmost respect of nature. The building is built in a Europe modernist design that contains some of the same features that Fallingwater does. These features consist of reinforced concrete walls with steel frames on the inside, as well as suspended terraces and balconies. Fallingwater is an organic architectural type building that is built suspended over a small cliff with a waterfall underneath it. This hence the name falling water. The waterfall appears to be coming out of the building when really the structure is just suspended and built over it. The house was designed to not interfere with the natural process, while this can be seen as one of the structural support beams of the building is bent around a pre-existing tree. This exaggerates the idea that nature has a special place in this world and it is not supposed to be tampered with. The structure also functions as a vacational retreat where people can find and establish a bond with nature. The interior of the retreat is nice and open with a stone fireplace as its centerpiece. The windows of the interior also help form a connection with nature. The area that faces over the falls is completely glass that allows eyes to travel towards the horizon of the lush, natural forest of Pennsylvania. Wright intentionally did this to show the pure beauty of the natural world. Wright also purposely intended for the terraces of the buildings to be painted in an earthly toned color that would represent nature as well as adobe dwellings of the American Southwest. He also insisted that the home be suspended over a waterfall that posed many challenges. The building didn't have enough supports to proceed with his plan, so Wright purposely added more supports, which showed his passion for nature. The indigenous city of Nan Madol and the organic structure, Falling Water, both represent similarities that relate to nature. The two works both stand with the idea that nature is an important element of the world. Nan Madol does this by using natural resources and glorifying their city's location, as Falling Water changes its original plans to accommodate its surrounding environment.